And I'm back. I'm back with Kierstan Tucker, girl, and she is about to tell you everything about her experience on working with Kedar Massenburg. I'm really interested because this guy is a piece of work. Now, I know and you know that he can be difficult, but there's some genius to his whole madness too. So while I have conflicting feelings about Kedar Massenburg, I am not going to like take away from the legacy that he built in neoclassic soul and just that, just the whole genre of R&B that we would have never really had if it wasn't for him. But you also work with one of my besties, Kojo Bento, and as soon as his audio visual shit gets together, he'll be coming back on HonesTEA On Demand, I hope, in some capacity. But Kojo was like, anybody that Kojo likes is usually a good soul. I'm not saying that he's the only good judge of character, but he is a good judge of character. And I remember he's like, Sai, do you know Kierstan? And I'm like, Kierstan who? He's like, she's working with us, blah, blah, blah. Because were you there when Lou Romaine was at Universal?
Mm-hmm.
So you were there when Lou Romaine was there. I think prior to you getting there, I think Kedar Entertainment was using Universal's marketing team to do all the media buys, because how I became the media buyer for Kedar Entertainment was because of Kojo. And then I should say how I became media buyer for Universal umbrella is because I did it for Kedar. But Lou Romaine was the guy that was running the show for Kedar. So even though A&R coordinating and A&R is not the same as marketing, you got to have the A&R first before you can, release any of the marketing. Tell people what it is to be an A&R coordinator, because I think, a lot of people don't know what artist development is, what artist and repertoire is. They don't know these terms.
Yeah.
I should have had you tell me that in the beginning, but we're already here and it dawned on me. Give us the definition in your best words.
So, in simple terms, the A&R people are the ones who have the creative vision for the music. So putting the album together, the artists, and especially now, I want to say more so now, a lot of artists write their music. And they were doing it before, but I just feel like because of the platforms that are available now, you have a lot of independent artists who are musicians and are able to get their music out to the world. But the A&R is the person behind the scenes who kind of takes all of that creative, all the creative ideas that the artist has, and maybe the label has a vision for this particular artist, and will mold the album, choose the songs that go together, come up with a theme so that the album is cohesive, or that the project is cohesive. I have to transition right from the way things were done then to how they're done now. People don't go to a store and buy a physical album anymore. But before, that is what we had to do. We had to say they're going to buy this collection of work. And instead of it just being songs that this artist just, wrote, they may have recorded 50 songs. We can't just randomly pick 25. The songs have to have a theme. They have to go together. They have to flow one into the other. And so now in the world of, downloads and streaming, it's still similar. You don't have to purchase all of the work together.
Right.
But you still want it to tell a story.
Right. And that's what's missing. Today, artists don't know that their album, even their EP, whatever it is, it needs to tell a story. I don't like it. They have no clue. Not everyone. So I don't want to sound like I'm generalizing, but I find that artists today don't even know what A&R is. And that's why I wanted you to explain, because some artists aren't even the songwriters. Like, an A&R will pick songs for their talent, for their artists, that fits their how they sing, maybe fits the vision that they have for them, like you were saying. So I think
Yeah.
that's like important. We should always think about the foundation and why we did things, because Beyonce's album makes total sense. You
Right.
know, even if you pick a single, the whole album is a curated project, a curated
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah,
So that's
everything from deciding who the producers are that are gonna work on the
mhm,
particular project, what their sound is, how it will go together with that artist's style or the
yep.
image that, the artist has or wants to portray. Um, it's everything. And then the coordinator, so that's what A&R is in general.
Mhm.
And then the coordinator will be the person who brings everybody together. So books the studio, calls the producer, gets the writers involved, puts everyone in a session and gets everything recorded. Then after that process, gets everything mixed, finds the engineers, just all of the logistics that go into actually creating the physical product, which now it's digital, but it's still like physically what the end user or the customer is going to hear. It all has to come together. So you can decide, the A&R decides we want to work with these producers, these writers, but then the coordinator has to actually get all of those people into the same room and get it recorded.
Okay, so that was a lot. I love it though. But I need to hear some tea. Give me some tea about working at Kedar Entertainment that the average person, no, let's pick an artist. Tell me something about, it could be good, bad, indifferent. It could just be funny, whatever. Tell me something about Erykah Badu and your experience working her project that no one would know.
First, let me say, I love Erykah Badu. And not from a fan standpoint. I do love her music. Yes, I do. But I just love her as a person. She's super sweet, caring. She's a nurturing kind of person. Um, and everybody that's in her circle, again, I keep going back to family because when in the business, and again, I don't know if it's like that now because I'm so far removed, but before everything was very much family. It was all about loyalty. It was all
Mhm.
about helping each other, being down for one another, and just working through the process. But so I worked on a number of her projects, but the one that I worked on most intimately was Mama's Gun.
Okay.
And that project was a, a labor of love to put it in nice terms, and for everyone involved, not just for me. It was a little stressful on, I think, everybody that was involved, including Erykah.
Why?
Well, so the label, they have these ideas of it's all about the bottom line, right? And
Mhm.
so in order to meet their bottom line, they have to forecast in the beginning of the year what albums are going to come out when, what they think each album is going to sell. A lot of them are based on prior sales. And they're
Mhm.
like, okay, if we have these new artists coming out this time, we need some anchor artists. We know the artists that sell big. We need them to come out at a certain time, so that
Right.
we can make our mark. And she, for Universal, was one of those artists. Um, but she is an artist who is very much involved in her creative process. I mean, she owns the creative process. She writes her music, she produces, she gets all the musicians. It very much, I mean, sometimes you may have a suggestion, Erykah. Kibar may have gone to her and say, I want you to work with this person or whatever, but she was very much in control of
Mm.
who is going to be on her finished product and how she wants it to sound. And she had to take her time. She could not be rushed. And
And
and it didn't
produce.
come balancing act, right? Because artists are delicate, because you want them to have this great product, but you want them to hurry up and get the business side of it. But they're
Right.
so not even in that mind. They're like, don't rush me because now I'm stressed out, and I'm stressed out. I can't work. I can't think. I can't work, and
Yeah.
I'm shutting down. So sometimes you gotta tiptoe around that and kind of like, massage the ego a little bit and just like, it's gonna be okay. Rub the back. um, so her project was coming, it was towards the end of the year, but the deadline was there. And we weren't even halfway done. She didn't have all the songs recorded that she needed recorded. Then there's a whole like other thing that goes into it after the songs are recorded, the packaging, the mixing, like there's so much involved. And we basically were running out of time, or had run out of time. And so then the label is on Kedar's back, meaning Universal. His higher ups were on his back about getting it out. So then he's like, oh, we got to get this done. And I actually did not start that project. At that point in time, I was working in strategic marketing and partnerships, and I was building campaigns and having a good old time with Kojo. But for some reason, which I don't know, Erykah was not melding well with the people that were assigned to her project at that time, the executives that were assigned to her project.
So, Kierstan, you were telling me before we had a little technical difficulty. I asked you, I said, tell me something about an artist that you've worked with at Kedar Entertainment, that would be T, something unique that no one else would know. You started by telling me a little bit about Erykah Badu, the fact that I didn't even know that she produced her own songs, that people find her a little difficult, but go ahead. I'll let you get back to that thought.
So I think where I left off, I was talking about Mama's Gun, which was the album that I worked on the most intimately with her, in terms of being heavily involved on a day-to-day basis. So there was actually at this time when I worked on this album, I had actually transitioned out of A&R, and I was working, I had worked to help Kojo, who you mentioned before, build out the business development and strategic partnership department. And so we were over there living our best lives, creating deals for the artists with Atari and Foot Locker and the Gap and all that kind of stuff. But there was somebody else assigned to Erykah's project. There were she had other A&R people working on that project. But because
wait a minute. Other A&R people working on her project?
Well, I wasn't in A&R anymore. So Kedar would assign projects to the A&Rs that he had based on whatever criteria he felt, was necessary. And since she was a high priority for him, they had been together forever. He actually helped develop her and bring her out. She was super important. So he put, I guess, what he felt were the best people that he had on staff to work on her project.
And who was on that project?
Now I'm not gonna get into
it. Okay, you don't want to tell names. Well,
I don't want to say so. I believe they are still in the business. So I don't,
But wait a minute. Wouldn't they be credited on the albums? Or are we talking about? You didn't get to the difficulty part. What's the problem? That ain't no damn tea.
So some artists are very particular about their environment and who they work with. Okay. The feeling, Erykah is a vibe person, an
Right.
energy person. Her and the energy around her has to be right. The people around her have to be right. The vibe. She sets the mood when she gets to the studio. She lights her candles. She makes her tea. Everybody. She's got her oils, and it's just a whole vibe, right? So when people hear about that part about her, that is true.
The
And
Baduism.
Baduism, right? So she's got her incense. It's just gotta be just the
Zen.
serene, calm energy, just so that she can create and feel at ease. So when certain things or people disrupt that energy
Mhm.
flow, she backs off. And she's very much like Kedar, which is probably why they
Butt heads.
got butt heads, but I would say got along, like they got each other. Because he's very much keep certain people around him. He has a close circle, right? So it's all about family and loyalty, and he doesn't let a lot of people in. And she's the same way. So he had some people working on her project that she had not worked with before. They were new to her. They weren't part of the family, right? And I don't know what transpired because I wasn't involved in the beginning, and I didn't get the details. And like I told you, I'm not into the gossip. I'm into what do we need to do to get it done.
Mhm.
And so I was told that we need you on this project. We know you're working on some other things, but we really need your help because she's not responding
Right.
to these people that are assigned to her project. She won't call them back. We're up against the deadline. We've passed the deadline, and we don't know how to get her to move forward. She won't move forward. She has said she will not move forward with these people. And so I guess I knew her, I knew the business, I knew that side of the business. And so they said, okay, can would you mind? We would love for you to come on board, and would you mind doing this? So of course I'm a team player.
Right. So
So
I just want to say this. How do you feel about an artist being under a contract and assumingly being difficult? Because you and I know that every project has an expiration date. You got, a start and an end date. If an artist is being difficult and they're refusing to work, they're kind of like, how are you going to get anything done? So, how do you go in and convince someone, listen, without saying, you're going to fuck up everything? How do you go in and say, listen, we got to get this done? Because it can't just be, I mean, she's working under a contract. So, like, your vibe got to, like, get happy at some point because you got to turn in this project or you're going to have to return some money or, be in a lawsuit. How'd you get her to, like, cooperate? And
um
why
so
is it
here's
a vibe?
actually
Because when me and you go to work, it's not a fucking vibe. We got to go to work. We have to
right.
pay bills. This is our passion. We got to overcome whatever it is that, I think I'm creative. I think you're a creative person as well. So it doesn't matter what type of creative person. Like, you can't just be like, I'm not working. This is like, to me, that is a difficult artist.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think at that point she probably earned her right to say who she will and won't work with, right? Because she made
Mhm.
the label a lot of money, and she knew that, and she knew they were depending on her and waiting on her to make their bottom line. And so that does put a lot of pressure on the artist, right? They're waiting for you to save the day, so to speak.
And
But
you're giving me a shitty team to work with, but I
yeah,
got to save the day.
that I
So,
can't vibe with, and I
right,
can't think creatively if my
I'm
energy
with
is off.
them.
So um and here's where I got a chance to work with Kelly again, because Kelly Thompson had come in to be Kedar's assistant, and then she transitioned into marketing. And so during the process of putting an album together, A&R and marketing work hand in hand. So you're getting the vision of it all together. You're deciding what visuals, you haven't done any, you may or may not have done photo shoots yet, B-roll, things like that. Because Erykah is the type of artist, she likes to document everything that she does, right?
Nice.
But at this point in time, it was very much all hands on deck. we got to collectively come together to get this project out. And I met with Kelly, and she kind of brought me up to speed on where they were and how things were going and where they needed to go. And then I went in the studio and I sat down with Erykah, and I said to her, listen, I know what kind of pressure you're under. I'm not new to this. I want you to be as comfortable as you can be in order to create the music that you need to create for yourself, for your fans. What do you need me to do? Whatever you need me to do, I'm here to do that, to help you get through this process. And thankfully, I knew some of her team. So some of the producers that she already worked with, some of the musicians I already knew. So it was very much, it wasn't like this new girl coming in. Who is she? We got to feel her out. It was like, oh, it's Kierstan, and the energy was good. The vibes were good. And my intention was good. And I think she could feel that I was genuine. I really wanted the best for her. And she already understood, like, what the stakes were. She already understood the deadlines, because she expressed that to me. She said, Kierstan, Kedar is telling me about these deadlines, and I have to get these things out, and I can't think, I can't. I said, don't worry about all of that. You focus on the music, focus on your creativity. I worry about the lyrics, the producer credits. Don't think about any of that. I'll work with the musicians and get all of that down pat, and I'll create a skeleton. And if things need to change, they'll change. Don't worry. Just do what you do. And I'll do what I do. And I think she appreciated that. And I want to say there were times where I think she felt very overwhelmed, and she was vulnerable, but I think she felt like she was in a space where she could be vulnerable. She felt safe. She was with people she already knew, and people that she felt had integrity and truly wanted the best
for her project,
her and for everyone involved.
When you say she wanted people with integrity, that is profound. I think that's what a lot of us would want, right? Where is she as an artist today? Is she independent? Is she signed to a label? Like, is that something that you even know about? I know you're not in the entertainment industry, but I know that she tours, and I know that she's a doula, and all the amazing things that I see she's doing, but I don't know about, where is she in terms of a label?
I don't know the details of it. I believe she's independent. But my boy KK works closely with her, so I do get tidbits of information about what's going on in terms of the touring and the birthday, and then just like some other ancillary personal stuff.
Ancillary personal stuff. When you done said your family 20 million times. Okay, I got something.
Nothing that you would necessarily want to hear. I just mean, like, how the kids are doing, things like that. Right. Because when I was working there, she had Seven, who was her son with Andre Harrell. Oh, he was so cute.
Andre Harrell,
not Andre Harrell. Sorry, my bad. Edit that out. Andre 3000.
Yeah, Andre 3000. Yes.
Andre 3000. Yeah, no.
And she had Puma. He would come to
the studio sometimes, and then she had Puma, and then she had another baby, but I don't know the baby's name or her child's name. But anyway, so just like catching up with things like that, and I'm like, oh, it's all right, say hi, sending messages back and forth. So I just mean like that kind of personal stuff. But yes, KK, he still works with her.
That's your homeboy
directly. That's my brother. That's my little bro. That's my ace boom.
Little bro. I'm going to interview little bro as well, but I want to know some information that I found out, so we could just bypass you and KK's little my bro, my big sis, my little brother. I'm going to have both of you guys on the show one day, but now I want to get to the relationship part of Kierstan.
Oh gosh.
Kierstan is a mom. She has two beautiful, handsome young boys. They are so handsome. Of course, your
Thank
mom is cute.
you.
I don't remember the dads, but whatever. I do remember when you got married, but I didn't even get invited to the wedding. I think you and your sister got married at the same time, did you not?
No, she got married after me. She got married a year after me.
But weren't we planning it together? I'm thinking, here I go, weren't you guys doing it like a wedding together?
No, we did an engagement party together.
That's what it was. Okay. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. I knew it was something. It was a double something.
Yeah.
That's cute. So, Kierstan, you are a mom. You're a sister to one sister. You're probably an auntie by now.
Yes.
Yes.
3 beautiful nieces.
3? Your sister had 3 kids? Oh my gosh. I remember your sister. I remember both of your parents. I met them before. And I thought it was so cute that these Black people were still together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not being funny when I say it, but we live in the North. This ain't the South. In the South, I see everybody's parents together. In the North, most of my friends' parents are not. So it was so nice to meet them as a unit, family unit, all you guys. I think you were still living at home with your sister too when I met your sister. Your dad was outside, like washing the car or something. And I came to your house. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't living at home.
But you were there.
I was probably here visiting.
You were there all the time. Because it was like a weekend.
I watched you all the time.
No, Kierstan, you were living there. You weren't a mom yet. Yeah, you were not a mom. This is
I moved out
when?
like right after college. So I moved out after I started working for Kedar, like a year after that.
What year were you in college?
I graduated in 98.
I've been to your house when you lived with your parents in 98.
Sure?
Weren't you at Kedar in 98?
I was at Kedar, August 98.
That because I started in 96 and I moved to Baldwin Harbor in 97.
Gosh.
And I went to your house in 98. Kedar and them were my clients in 96. You came along a couple of years later. And I know you were living at home at your house because I went to your house and you were home with your sister. You and your sister lived at home. And
we never lived here at the same time. I mean,
well, I don't know. Maybe she was home visiting, right? Maybe she was home visiting, but you were living there.
Yeah, she was living in Houston.
But I remember
and when she moved back,
what year
she was living
that?
in Queens first. And then she moved here. But when she moved here, because I'm here now, when she moved here, I was living in Jersey.
Yeah. I remember when you moved to Jersey. That probably was your first darn apartment.
It was.
Exactly. So how could you say I didn't know you when you were living at home? Okay. Let's get to the boyfriend thing because we know that if you eat where you shit, it ain't a good combo. But I heard that you used to date a rapper, a legendary rapper, a legendary huge rapper. And I'm like, little Kierstan dating a rapper? Like, I can't even see that. Maybe a producer. I can't see her like being the arm candy to the celebrity because we know them and you're not paying them no mind. Like, I can't even see you with a rapper. But I heard that you used to date Fife, and I heard that you were really good friends, you know, up until his passing. And I've spoken with you a little bit about it. But tell me, like, how did you end up dating an artist? Or was he even an artist? That he had to have been an artist because
he was an artist. He was who he is, or who he was, still is kind of to me. But I met him before I started working in the music business. I met him. I was in school and my roommate was dating this guy who was LL Cool J's best friend and friends. Wait, let me think. Because I feel like I'm mixing the story up. There's so much has happened. She was dating a guy who was LL Cool J's best friend and friends with Tribe's security guard. That's what it was. So one day he told her to meet him at the studio, and Tribe was going to be there. It was their session. We were in our room when she was on the phone with him, and he was there with the security guard, and we were just like, she had him on speakerphone, I think. We were like joking around, and I was like, oh, let's prank them. And so I said to the security guard, now I knew the guy she was dating, but I didn't know the security guard. And I said, let me pretend like I met him out with you guys somewhere. And I think I want to say that her boyfriend was in on it. I want to say he was in on it and was like, yeah, because he won't remember because he meets so many girls, or whatever. Maybe he was drinking. I don't know. But so I said to him, I was like, oh, hey, how you doing? Don't you remember me? Kind of thing. And at first he was like, no, I don't remember you. And I was like, yeah, you know me. And he was like, well, why don't you come to the studio so I can see who you are, so I can remember who you are. I was like, okay, I'll come, and thinking to myself, do I really want to go? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're still on mute. Sai, you're on mute.
So basically, you were telling me about Fife's friend trying to like be slick and set things up correctly.
So his security guard. So
Mhm.
so I told him, I was playing a joke, and he was like, but he didn't know it was a joke. And so he's like, oh, well, all right. Well, if I met you, come up to the studio so I can remember who you are. So I was like, oh gosh. I'm like, all right, I'll come. Cause as long as my roommate was going and I wasn't going by myself, because
Right.
I would be like, no, just kidding. Like, you never met me, like, but so we carried it on. So when we got to the studio, he was like, you sure I met you? And I was like, oh no, just kidding. Like, no, we never met, never. But at that point now, like, he was really wanting to talk to me. And I'm like, no, it's like, ha, joke's over.
You were just up for a game.
I was like, young and dumb, right?
So how old were you?
I think I was 17. Yeah, I must have been 17.
This is pre-music.
Yeah, this was before I started working in the music business, because I hadn't met Ian yet. I met Ian and by the same night.
Oh. And where is Ian today?
I don't know.
What's his last name?
Honest, Ian Alexander.
Ian Alexander.
He married Regina. Regina, what's her last name? The actress.
Regina Alexander?
No, she kept her last name.
Regina, not King.
Yes, Regina King. They're not married now, but he married her. They had the son that passed.
Your son Ian, that's what his name is after. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, Kierstan, you know some pretty cool people. That would be nice to reach out to him and see how he's doing. I mean, you guys came, that was a long time.
That was a long time. So he was Chris's best friend.
Who was Chris? Chris Lighty. Mm-hmm. Wow. So you hear how this circle is like, security hooks you up with Fife, because security is always your friend. And then you have these circles with Ian Alexander, and end up working with Eddie F, Kedar Massenburg, Erykah Badu. Like, you've had a totally amazing run in the music industry.
I feel like I've had the longest short career. It wasn't a short career, but it feels so much longer because I've done so many things and worked with so many people. Because I think
you were working in the music industry probably for 20 years, no? Yeah, interning age to 40.
I left the music business in 2009 when my son was born. From 98 to 2009.
Okay. That ain't long.
No. But I managed to pack a lot of experiences in.
Yeah, and a lot of platinum albums, a lot of gold albums, a lot of good relationships. Any regrets?
Hustler.
You got to be a hustler. Like there's these people like, I only do one thing. There's no such. Like when being in the music industry, you got to think like an entrepreneur. Like this project is, you own this project. So as long as you're thinking like that, you can't go wrong. Any regrets?
Yes.
Tell me too.
Not documenting my career. So I have no photos with any of the people that I've worked with.
Okay.
And then probably not keeping in contact with some of the people as much as I think I should have.
Well, you can do that now, right? You can actually try.
Yeah, but it's not the same as if I had continued to nurture the friendship, because I did have friendships. And then when I had my son and I said, I'm out of this business, I kind of just like walked away from it. Like I haven't spoken to Kedar since the year my son was born. Yeah, and not that, I don't have any ill feelings towards anyone. I did. No, I mean, life is too short, right? I don't have any bad things to say, but not about anybody prominent, anybody would care about anyway. I've always had really good relationships with the people that I've worked for and worked with. And I think if I run into them, I think it would be all love. But I do run into people from time to time. They're like, "Oh, you just kind of fell off the face of the earth." And I'm like, well, I wanted to be a mom. I didn't,
You didn't want to be in the industry.
Well, that's a call.
Right. Well, I will say this. You did fall off of the but I always know how to find you because I have your number. Your number is basically have not changed. And then we're on social media today. And so I'm always able to look for you if I have to. But you mentioned something like you don't have any photos, but you know what your ass probably got that you better start standing next to and taking pictures of? Them damn plaques that you got your name on. Like I have no plaques and plenty of pictures. And that shit, where are my plaques? All the media buy projects that I've worked on, I have not one plaque. I mean, I'm happy I made it in a Kim Osario's book, but as a forward, a hello acknowledgement. But damn, where are my plaques? Well, I guess the next time I have you on, I want to talk about, I don't know, families. Maybe you and business relationships, you and KK, like have you guys on together, because I need to get some stories that maybe Kierstan won't remember and KK could jog your memory and vice versa.
There's a ton of those, I'm telling you, because KK will be like, Kierstan, so-and-so say hi. And I'm like, who's that?
And then wait a minute, before we end this podcast, you got to tell me, how the hell did they steal you from Shantae Page?
Oh gosh, girl.
Who stole you? And tell me how. And do it.
Mojo stole me.
Mojo stole you.
He sure did.
How did he do that? Because he's not so calculating. or is he?
One night I was in Kojo's. Oh gosh. Okay. So I don't remember what, I think I was working on Profile or Chico. It was one of the three, either Profile or Chico or the Marvin Gaye album. Because those three albums were a lot of work. But I remember I was in the office. It was super late. Kedar was there. Kojo was there. Frank. You remember Frank Fraley? Frank was there.
The accountant.
And I think I went in, Kedar and Kojo were in Kojo's office talking about whatever. And I think I went in there to ask them something related to the project. And I sat down and Kedar was like, "You look tired." And I was like, "I am tired." And he's like, "Yeah, I see you in here. You working, you doing all this stuff." He's like, I probably should not have told this story.
Tell me the story. Give me the damn tea right now. I don't care. It's 20 million years old. They ain't gonna get mad at each other.
He was like, "Where's Shantae?" She actually was in Atlanta at the time working with Profile, right, getting some songs recorded with Noontime. I remember that. And I was like, "Yeah, you know, she's in Atlanta." And Kojo might have said like she's in Atlanta, right? And then you know, Kedar is very much you need to check in with him. You need to let him know what's going on. So he doesn't want to have to call you to ask you what's going on. So maybe she hadn't done that or whatever. But he was like, "Where's Shantae? Where's my hits? Where's my songs?" And then he just went off into a whole ramble. He's like, "Kierstan doing all the work, blah, 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 blah." Because, you know, he sees me in front of his face.
Right.
Yeah, working. And I don't know, he went off into a rant and then he was like, "Get on the phone." He walked out. So I was sitting there with Kojo and we were just chopping it up and he was asking me, you know, kind of like, what is it that you ultimately want to do when you get into the music business? What do you want to do? And I told him, you know, what I went to school for. He was like, "Oh, you went to NYU, right?" So I said, "Yeah." And then I told him what I went to school for. And I told him, you know, originally when I went to school, I wanted to have this big like marketing, advertising executive job. And you know where I got that from?
Yes, of course.
Where did I get that from? I'll tell you where I got it from.
Go ahead.
Boomerang.
I think I need a cup of tea.
So Kojo and I were chopping it up. He asked me, he recalled that I had gone to NYU and I told him that I wanted to, I had originally wanted to be this like big marketing executive. I wanted to work with major brands and create campaigns. And then I said, when I got into music, I had always imagined mirroring the two or not mirroring the two, combining the two. So taking brands and creating opportunities for the artists through these brands, through various marketing campaigns. And he said, "I've been talking to Kedar about that. It's actually something that, you know, we want to do. It's a department that we want to build out and we want to move more in that direction." And I think that at that time, that was probably the end of the conversation. But then he brought me back into his office another time and he said, "Listen, we're really serious about this. And I know you mentioned it to me before. Would you be interested? I'm going to need somebody to help me do it. I can't do it all on my own. You know, there's a million things that have to get done in this office with this business. So I know you have the background and you would be allowed to, or you'd be able to travel and take meetings, and form relationships with these brands and, you know, and set things up." So I was like, "Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I want to do it." Do we start today?
Wait a minute. Did you travel?
I did.
Good.
I did. So anyway, they said, "All right, well, we're still figuring